Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to hook up your unit, such as basically a touch unit in the house here. And what I've seen over the years is I've seen a lot of guys try these batteries. You know, you try to hook up the battery, you put it to the touch unit, everything looks like it should work, it doesn't work. One quick workaround for that is to take a cable, like an Ethernet cable or an NMEA cable, plug it in the back of the unit and just hold that, and then your touch unit will work. Basically, what you're doing is creating a ground loop for that capacitance to work in. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a wall-mounted unit, not quite the same as what I've got for my big units, but one of these smaller units here that I picked up on Amazon. I picked up a couple of them, and the size is going to depend on what unit you have. Okay, so we're going to hook that up. We use a standard power cord, and then that will show you how to hook up your unit, and so you can sit in the house during the winter time, especially up north here, and work on your unit, massage your waypoints, learn the maps, play around and find locations to fish in the spring or the summer whenever you're going to go fishing. It'll also help you go through and learn the unit as well. So if you picked up a new unit over Christmas, this is a great way, a great way to do that, to learn how to do that. So what I'm using is I'm using these power supplies, like I said, from Amazon. They're originally made for these LED strips. These LED strips, you know, they run on 12 volts. And what you need is you need the power supply that has one of these little connectors in the back. Now you can buy these connectors, so it lets you screw in the power cable to it. These are like, you get 10 ohm for $5, really cheap. That's $5 US, okay? But what I did is I looked for power supplies that already had the connector on the end of it. If not, they usually come with like a 3.5 millimeter, or I think it's 5.5 millimeter on the outside diameter. You just buy the right adapter plug. So you got two little screws here. I don't know if you can see that, but two screws to screw your wire into. So you'd screw the positive and negative into that, and then you're all set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you what I'm using, and I'm going to go ahead and do the power cord for you. I won't bore you with all the details. There's a couple little crimps I got to do, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard power cord. This is just a standard power cord. This is the power cord that you would normally get on an HDS unit. Someone had already taken and cut off the NMEA 183 cable, and that's fine. This looks like more like the power cord you get with, let's say, an Elite FS unit. Okay, so we're going to take the positive, negative. We're going to take and just cut the crimps. These are already crimped up. They actually went in my old boat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them off so I can screw them into these connectors here. But before I do that, I want to make absolutely sure that I put a fuse block in line with this. Okay, Lowrance gives you these little crimp connectors. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and so you can either use these. What I'm going to use is an inline, which is called a butt connector. I'm going to use a butt connector like I normally do. Okay, so I'm going to use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crimp that up. We'll just play through this really quickly while I do it, and then when I come back, we'll show you how to hook everything up. It should be fairly straightforward. So, okay. Okay guys, I got the power cord ready to go. What I did is I simply just stripped off the old connectors off these leads. Now what you want to make sure you do is twist them. Okay, just twist them in pretty good, tight, nice and tight. And then what I did is I used an inline connector from the red line, which is the power line. So I used what's called a butt connector. Okay, this is a 16 gauge wire. This is 18 gauge wire. So I just simply used a 14-16. There is a step down butt connector you can use, which makes a little bit better connection, but this is pretty solid. Okay, and then what you want to do again is on the positive side and on the negative lead, twist those together really good. Now if you've got a soldering iron, what you could do is just tin those and make them one solid piece, and make it a little bit easier, a little bit sturdier. The next thing you got to do, okay, is fuse it. I've got a Live 9 here, so this is my Live 9 unit. So what I'm going to do is the Live 9 calls for a 3 amp fuse. So I'm going to grab a 3 amp fuse out of my fuse block box here. Okay, and never remember the colors here. Oh, 3 amp is a violet, okay? So it's purple, okay? 5 amp is orange. Now, for the Lowrance units, and I'll put a table up somewhere, I'll try to put it up here, but I would use a 5 amp. You use a 5 amp for both the 16 and the 12, okay? You use a 3 amp for the 7, the 9, and the 10. And for the Elite FSs, the same thing. You use 3 amp fuses for those. So that's basically what you do want to do. But if you don't have a Lowrance unit, it's fine. You just do the same procedure. Garmin already has a fuse in line, so you're all set there, so you don't have to do that. Humminbird, you'll need a fuse holder. At least the units I've seen, especially Helixes, don't have a fuse holder. So you're going to have to get you one. But basically, it's very, very important to fuse these things just in case something happens. So we're going to put the 3 amp in the fuse holder here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the table. Like I say, I'm going to put the table up for fuse. I'm also going to put up the power rating. And what you want to do is match these power supplies to your units. Like, for example, this 9, it takes a 3 amp fuse. So that means I would go with this 5 amp power supply. And the reason is I want to derate that. So basically I'm going to run about 60% of what the power rating is. Otherwise you tend to overheat these. It's really not a good idea to do that. So let's go ahead and put the fuse holder in, or fuse in the fuse holder. Okay, so that's in, push it in really tight. So now we are ready to hook it up to one of these power lines. Now the neat thing about this connector is that both power supplies use the same connector. Even though the plugs look a little different, they're the exact same plug. They're the same as what I got in the package. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply disconnect that from the power supply. Okay, I'm going to take a small screwdriver. I have to figure out which one works best. These appear to be, they're both flat blade and they're Phillips blade. So just going to take and loosen them up. And we'll open, that one's open, and we'll open the other one up. Sometimes it's easier to use a Phillips. Yeah. I would suggest using a really small Phillips. You get more bite to it. So anyway, what you do is open up the terminals. Now, if you look on these connectors, you'll see that one side says positive. So this is positive. That's where your red is going to go. Okay. There's a negative. That's where your black wire ground's going to go. Okay. So let me put those in the connector here. Again, I've got a couple of wires that look a little goofy here. I'm just going to clean that up. I'm going to plug that into the connector here. Okay. Push it all the way in. I've stripped out, what's that, about 3/8. So now I'm going to do is just simply tighten this up. Okay, so that one's done. So now we're going to put the red one on. My hands would work, we'd be in good shape here. All right. So that's in all the way. Again, you need to just unscrew these enough to get your wire in. If you unscrew it too far, obviously it'll come completely out of the connector. You don't really want to do that. So let's just tighten these things up all the way. Make sure you have a good solid connection. Okay. Don't have to over tighten it, but you want it solid. So basically if you pull these, they're not going to come out. So now we got our power cord completely ready to hook up to this power supply. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take the smaller of the two, which is the 5 amp one. Now what I don't like about this one, it does not have a 3-wire plug on it. Okay, I mean that's what part of the reason it's only $10 versus the other one's $20. It's a 2-wire connection, which should say that this plug should be polarized, but if you look at the plug, it's not really polarized like you would expect it to be. So we're going to see if this one works. If not, we're going to use the bigger of the two. I would personally suggest spend the $20, buy the bigger one, and then that way you're covered just in case you decide you want to hook up another unit to it, or a bigger unit. So power supply's up and ready to go. This thing pushed in. There we go. Tell it's a brand new one. So first thing I'm going to do is plug the cord in. Okay. And it helps to turn the power strip on. Okay, power strip on. So now you got a green LED light up to let you know the power is available. Okay, we're going to hook this up to it. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and, what I suggest, I always prefer to do is I turn the power supply off, and then hook up the power lead to it. Okay. And the power leads on these go horizontal. This piece is horizontal. So now I've got the unit ready to go, and I'll turn it so you guys can see it. I'll turn the power strip back on. This is lit up, and now our unit's coming up. So it'll power up with this, most definitely. The question is, will it work without the third wire, the ground wire, for you? Okay. So once we come up, let me scoot around so I can see this. Actually, while this is booting, you'll notice that I got a new backdrop here. I think that looks better than that carbon fiber wrap I had laying on the wall and the window and all the other garbage that was sitting behind this. Yeah, my house is kind of messy, but that's just the way I am. So let's see. Works fine. Okay, so now we got our unit up and running. So we can do a few things like go into pages mode, go to settings, check our about box. Again, one neat thing is that if this is not at the current rev, you can use this in the house and do your updates. So you either hook it into your Wi-Fi in the house and do the update that way, or I tend to use the SD chips only because I do so many of these. So this is a real quick and dirty connection. Okay, it works fairly efficiently. What I've noticed is this power supply is not getting warm at all. Again, I would use the 5 amp for either a 7, 9, or an 8. Their power draw is basically less than 60% of what this unit is rated for. This is rated, like I say, it's rated for 5 amps at 12 volts. Okay, these run, like I say, they have a 3 amp fuse. Their steady state's right around somewhere around 2 amps or so. But that's usually, if you look at the power ratings in the specifications, those specs usually include when the sonars are pinging. Well, we're not running sonar in the house, so we're saving quite a bit of power. So this is what I would use for the 7, 9, and 10s. And this is what I would use for the 12, which is a 10 amp unit module, okay? And the neat thing is that if you also have LED lights at the house, where'd they go? Oh, there they are. You can also use it to power the LEDs. So you can double duty these things. But again, make sure you're well within the power rating of these controllers. So, all right. So if you got any questions, I'm gonna put the links for these 2 power supply modules in the description down below. I'll also put the link for these connectors. So if you already have a 12 volt power adapter, which you might have, a lot of printers, a lot of computers and laptops and things use that. You may have one laying around that's old. Okay, just check the power rating. I would not use anything less than 5 amps. Okay, and 10 amps is great for the bigger units. Okay, and what you do is measure the size of this end connector here. Okay, they're all a little different. I think there's like 5 or 6 different varieties of this. Make sure you get the adapter piece for the right size connector you have, and then just simply hook up your power and put it into there, and you're good to go. So hopefully that'll help you out, save you a little bit of money, and it'll also let you play with your unit in the house, and it'll save you the frustration of hooking a battery up and then going onto the message boards and Facebook pages and what other places and saying, hey, it doesn't work. Why not? Well, the reason is it doesn't have a ground system. Okay, And so now what we've done is we've essentially created a ground system hooked into your house ground. Okay, so if you got any questions, please you know, put it in the comments. I really truly appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, if you haven't subscribed yet, I appreciate it if you subscribe and hit the like button. Like I say, any comments, I'll try to get to them and I'll answer. I'm actually pretty good at answering questions. So this is our unit. We're ready to go, and thanks a lot. Appreciate it. This is the test bench that I use that you've seen in a couple of videos. I've got a 12-volt power supply right here that I picked up on Amazon many years ago. I've got a live bracket sitting here for a live 12. I have a NMEA bus configured. I have an old Go-Free wireless interface before the wireless was built into the units. I've got some Ethernet cables. I got one power cord here, okay, and I got another power cord here. And believe it or not, I actually have a Humminbird power cord as well. So I'm pretty much rigged up for multiple things. Let me show you around the back here. By the way, I also have an old RAM mount here. So in case you get a unit in with a RAM base, you could just basically put it on the base there. And then in the back there, I have a fuse block. This is the old style fuse block. This showed me that I wanted to use a screw type fuse block. So that's basically what I've got set up here. I've got it on just built a wooden frame for it out of some scrap wood I had laying around the house.